Hello Baggies fans and welcome to another video here on the Baggies podcast YouTube channel. Today it's a match preview. We're back in action after a couple of weeks off, a couple of weeks full of stress-free football. It's just been lovely, hasn't it? But back to the grind of watching West Bromwich Albion play. This Saturday at 12:30 at Stamford Bridge, we take on Chelsea, who are currently under excellent form with Thomas Tuchel. But before we get into this match preview, I have to ask you one thing. You should I'm not asking. I'm telling you to subscribe to the Baggies podcast YouTube channel because there's so much that you could possibly want on this channel. We've got special guests over the past couple of weeks. We've had some fantastic guests. The most recent one being Simon Cox, former West Bromwich Albion and Republic of Ireland international. There's so much you could possibly want on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and make sure you're dropping a little like on this video if you've enjoyed it. And if you want to see a particular podcast guest, is there somebody who you would really like to hear from, West Bromwich Albion, of course? Is there somebody that you'd really like to hear from about their time at West Bromwich Albion? Drop a comment. I'd love to see if I can investigate and see if I can get them on. However, it's time to get into this match preview, but make sure you're dropping a subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let's get straight into it. But yes, as mentioned in the introduction, it's been nice to have a little break from West Bromwich Albion. I know it's something that we all love, but for me it's been a bit of a nice release, bit of a nice time to just relax and kick back and watch some football with some stress, not having to worry about anybody else's results. It's just been quite nice, to be honest, watching a bit of FA Cup, a bit of international football over the past week or so. Obviously, England and other nations, of course, are still away on international duty at the moment as I'm recording this, but yes, Chelsea and West Brom. It's going to be an interesting clash. I'm sure a lot of people watching this will think there's only one winner in this and it's Chelsea. But there's reason over the past few years, well, the times that we played Chelsea, that's not perhaps going to be the case. We've had plenty of fantastic memories against Chelsea, which we're going to talk about a bit more. But in terms of Chelsea, how have they been playing? How have they been faring under their new manager, Thomas Tuchel? Well, bad news for Baggies fans. They're unbeaten. They have not lost since having Thomas Tuchel take charge at Stamford Bridge. They have been fantastic. Their defence has been sorted out from the leaky one that Frank Lampard played under. They look to have found a new lease of attacking cohesion that they've got in that front line, which has finally come to case after the problems with Frank Lampard and not being able to get these new signings to gel. But yeah, Chelsea are doing well. The only thing that we've perhaps got in our advantage is that after this they play Porto in the Champions League, and I'm thinking that Porto is probably going to be a much bigger clash than us, and they may take it that way. But yeah, Chelsea definitely in good form. No two ways about it, unfortunately. That's just the way things are. So yes, Chelsea in a bit of a nice little state at the moment with Tuchel. How have we been? Now this has been a complete different experience for us. We haven't won since the 27th of February, which was about a month ago. I mean, we used to go more than 1 month without a victory, having to wait a solid month and a half from between our last two victories. So yeah, we're a bit used to having to wait for this long. However, there's going to be plenty to look forward to in perhaps this in this encounter, because we've had some good memories against Chelsea. Let's face it. I mean, we're going down by the looks of things, definitely, unless something really drastically changes. So I'd like to see Big Sam put out a bit of a different team. I'd like to see him experiment. I'd like to see some younger players in the team. I'd like to see some less tried, less tested players in the team. I'm not saying get rid of the better players in the team. I'm saying perhaps ones... I'm thinking people like... I don't know, maybe give somebody like Matt Phillips a rest. Give somebody like Diagne a rest. I'd like to keep Yokuşlu is basically what I'm saying. Just keep him in the side so I can just watch him until... He was absolutely phenomenal in the international break for Turkey. If you didn't watch the game against Holland in particular... he won a penalty for them, but was also that. I actually think he's better than he was than he is for us, probably because he's surrounded by better players. But he was really good, really good against Holland, and of course he also started the next game. I can't remember who that was against, but apparently he was quite good in that one as well. So Turkey looking in fine fettle for World Cup qualification, but Yokuşlu playing a vital part just as he does for us. In terms of head-to-head, our last game, of course, was this season, and it was a 3-3 draw against Chelsea, which obviously we threw away a lead for. We allowed them to come back into the game after some poor defensive errors from Chelsea. That was when I thought that, actually, I'll give you a little memory for that. That was when I thought, we're going to be all right this season. I can see it being all right this season. You know, we're going to be absolutely fine if we put in 3 past Chelsea every week, despite the fact we couldn't defend that 3-goal lead and keep the ball out the back of the net. That was my memory from that game. I'm sure a lot of you guys will have different ones. Feel free to share them down in the comments below. Before that, we've had a 3-0 loss to Chelsea, a 4-0 loss to Chelsea, a 1-0 loss, 1-0 loss, 2-2 draw. The big one that stands out for me is a 3-0 win. 2 goals from Saido Berahino and a goal from Chrissy Brunt. I think that was a game in which Fabregas got sent off, if I'm right in thinking, for firing the ball at everybody, including the referee, and it hitting Brunt or Morrison or somebody on the back of the head or something. It's a good shot. Clearly got good technical ability, Fabregas, but ended up getting sent off. That was one of my memories at the Hawthorns, watching those Berahino goals go in. The one that actually also stands out for me is a 1-0 victory for Albion against Chelsea, which is obviously something that happened in my favourite era for the club. It was in that same season that, of course, we notched a nice little victory up at Wolves. I can't remember the score in that one. You'll have to remind me. But it was a Gareth McCauley goal. Liam Ridgewell, podcast guest at West Bromwich Albion, fired it across the area, and McCauley was coming in at the back stick to get that in the back of the net. So yeah, that was one of my favourite memories, and we just sort of saw it out from there. Not perhaps as good as that 6-0 loss at the hands of Chelsea on one of our first Premier League seasons back in the top flight, but we've got some reputable draws against them. We were one of those teams that Chelsea didn't like playing at times because we were so vigorous, aggressive, and well organised. But yeah, those are some of my memories. Feel free to comment yours down below. If you've got a favourite memory of your time supporting Albion against Chelsea, just drop it down below. I'd love to hear it. It's one of them things that we don't get to hear too often. We don't get to hear about much fantastic time at this moment in time, especially the way the world is, but the way West Bromwich Albion is. So feel free to comment those down below. In terms of the next game, I can't see anything good coming for Albion. Tuchel's side are in fine fettle, and we're sort of just a step over the cracks in the pavement for them. I think they'll be trying to move towards a more managed outcome, trying to move towards something that they're really proud of. Sorry, I got a bit cold. But yeah, it's something they'll be trying to move towards, and they're trying to move towards something more positive times at Chelsea, and they're really doing that with Thomas Tuchel. In terms of next game, who's available, who's not available? I don't think we've got any fresh injury doubts unless anybody comes back from international duty, but of course I won't know about that right now. But you guys might be able to tell me. Jorginho might be out with a knock. Kante doubtful with a hamstring injury. Abraham with a sprained ankle, and Thiago Silva with a thigh injury. So obviously a couple there that may not be causing problems. Obviously Kante will probably be okay because he's been playing in the international break. I think he played for France against Ukraine a couple of days ago, so I think he'll be alright in that respect. Jorginho didn't play in the international break, and obviously Abraham not called up for England. So we'll obviously see how that gets on. But in terms of lineup for West Bromwich, I want to see something different. I want to see something else. I want to see something else from this Big Sam side. If it's something that we're not going to stay up with, that's fine. That's completely okay with me. I just want to see some different players. I want to see somebody like Edwards in the squad. I'd like to see Johnson in goal, Furlong right back, Townsend left back, Bartley and O'Shea at centre back. Yokushlu in CDM. I'd like to maybe see somebody like Edwards on the right wing. I'd like to see Gallagher and maybe Maitland-Niles, maybe somebody else, if there's anybody else down there who fancies a bit more of a game. Left midfield, maybe somebody like maybe Grosicki, but I can't see him playing whatsoever. I'd just like to see a bit of a change, to be honest. Pereira, I mean, I'd like to see him maybe move a bit more centrally, but I'd like to see him put in a decent shift before he gets that right. And maybe up front, I'd like to see somebody like Chait Diaby. I see no reason why they shouldn't play. I mean, the under-23s lost to Palace a couple of days ago, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, maybe I'd like to see somebody, like Edwards, maybe Jamie Sewell, somebody like that in the squad. It won't happen, but we'll just have to see, to be quite honest. We'll see about that, and hopefully we can pick up a win. I can't see it happening, but that's sort of the lineup roughly that I'd go for. But yeah, that's the sort of thing I'd go for. In terms of prediction, is a difficult one to predict. I'm gonna go 1-0 Chelsea. I think we'll battle hard and they'll score a late winner. It's just the way things are at West Bromwich Albion at the moment. But yes, we're back into the swing of things with West Bromwich Albion football. If you haven't listened to this week's episode of the podcast, do it. It's a cracker. Simon Cox, former West Bromwich Albion player, was there with me talking about his time at the Albion, talking about his time representing Republic of Ireland at the Euros. Obviously, those are quite big things. But yeah, make sure you tune in for that if you haven't already. That's episode 38. Plenty more coming over the next couple of weeks with regards to that. But anyway, it's been a pleasure having you here for another episode of the Baggies podcast. Of course, I'll be, having you back for another one, not episode of the Baggies podcast, another video here on the channel. But yeah, I'll be having you back for another episode of the podcast next Monday. Not sure who the guest is going to be on that, but there are a few in the works. Let me just tell you that. Hopefully, we can find somebody who's going to provide a good guest, and hopefully, we can pick up a win against Chelsea. Unlikely, but maybe. Who knows? We've done stranger things. If you're new around here, make sure you're dropping a subscription to the channel, and I'll be sure to be liking all your comments in the comment section below. Tell me your favourite memory of Chelsea and tell me your score predictions. That would be awesome as well. I'll see you in the next one, and I'll see you in the next video. See you later, Baggies fans. Come on, you Baggies.